Alright, let's play some 3-minute. Let's start with d4. Play a Queen's Gambit. Play a Benoni. Play a Snake Benoni. Alright. I am not very familiar with this, but I'm going to try to put stuff on the e file, because often black tries for pressure with rook e8. I did give them time to get in d6, so I didn't get in the e5 push. I never really know what the bishop is doing on c7. Maybe I'll play bishop g5, because I can never put the bishop on e7 to try to stop the pin. I did allow queenside expansion. That's true. So I don't want to play queen c2, because then c4. I think I'm going to bring my queen to d2 and play rook ae1, and then try to look for e5. I think this is still defended. Can't break the pin yet. Maybe I could play knight g3 to f5 at some point. Yeah, let's try that. Starting to look for e5. I don't quite have enough defenders yet. We're up on the clock, despite being in unfamiliar territory, which is promising. They don't really have a way to get rid of my knight, so I'm just going to kind of try to encroach slightly, move my pieces a little more into their territory. Imagine how cramped they'd be if I hadn't given them b5, though. I think that was not good. Where do I want my knight? Well, I don't want to hang e4, so let's go to d1. Maybe sometimes play b3, knight b2, knight c4. Not giving the opportunity. So if I take it, bishop b6 opens up the rook on the bishop, so I have to retreat. I want to keep e4 covered. And they are getting some activity and freeing themselves. d6 is now hanging, so they have to be careful. Yeah. And there's the question, can I play like e5, d6 type ideas? I do not think so. Are they threatening c3? Probably not. Huh. I can play on knight d6, queen d6, e5, but I think they just play queen d5. Looks vaguely clever, but I don't think it does anything. I can just take on b4, actually. Is there a problem with that? Bishop a5. Queen d6, bishop e1, queen c7, rook c7, rook e1. Oh, it doesn't seem like quite enough for me. Huh. It's 2 pawns. But they get the d5 pawn at the end, probably. But I think I'm going to try it, actually. So bishop a5. And queen d6. Bishop e1. Rook e1. Yeah, I don't think this was very good. They can just take on d. No, but my bishop defends my rook, so I'm not pinned. So yeah, I have to make another move. Now do I have time for queen c7? And if I take on h6, they play king g7 and my knight's trapped. So instead I'm going to come to d6, hit the rook. And then they can't chase my knight this turn, so I might leave it there for a turn and try to play something that better controls d5, like play knight c3 and hold off on e5 for a turn. Yeah, I think I'm going to play knight c3. I would like to play rook d1 and then e5. I bet they move the b7 bishop. Yeah. But now I can start pushing, right? Because d5 is defended. Kind of want to play knight e8, but I think I just keep pushing. If they take, g6 will be hanging, so they did not. Can I play e7? I guess I just go for it, yeah. Get a queen. Hit the rook. I'm going to have to be a little quick, because I'm low on time. Now if they take b2, I have discoveries, but they might not do much. They might, though. I can attack the knight. So instead, they went for this. I'm going to take it, play bishop e5. They should probably take on b2. But then I have knight e4, and I'm threatening knight f6. That was my point. But this pawn is scary. Aha. That's cute. All right, I'm going to play check. And then rook d1. But they have d2. They just have d2. But I take d7 with check, but they just have d2. Yeah. Okay. So I should... If they take, I'm on d2, though. So I have hope. Right, well, I'm going to clock, but it's a valiant effort. Oh, we got them down to 0.2. We came close. All right. 0 for 1. And of course I get another white because I get so many whites. All right. This is not the most complicated position, but we're going to play the advance. I'm playing that. Looking for early DC5s, kind of in the move 6-7 area. So I play bishop d3 here. And now, if they haven't taken on d4 yet, I will take on c5. I had an opponent recently play knight e7, and then b4 traps the bishop, so a5's a little better. Here, I'm gonna inflict the problematic pawns on them. The bishop takes h6. I should also look to play on knight a3 to c2 more than I tend to, because the knight on a3 can both go to b5, or it might get into d6, but it can also come to c2, where it goes to d4 and keeps b4 solid. So I think knight a3 is a useful idea, but first I should weaken their pawns, and then I should play knight a3. Often this will induce a6, yes, and in which case we have certainly had a profitable knight development, because knight d2 would not have induced them to spend a pawn move. And now knight c2 is coming. Alright, this makes me really want to play b5, because they cannot stop files opening towards their king. So I'm going to play b5. They can take the knight, I take on c6. Suppose they can do this way, and I do have to spend a tempo on my knight. If bishop takes b5, I'm going to play rook ab1. I may have been overly optimistic here, but I have opened a file towards their king, but they have a real trump in that their knight comes to c4, where it is very good at blocking off lines. So I don't know how promising an attack I have here. I guess I'm going to bring the f knight up first, and then maybe knight b4 and consider... that knight's so good. How do I get rid of it? I can play rook b3 and try to double. Yeah, I'll try to double. They have a very good knight on c4. I think my pawn sacrifice has not come good. I also want to play moves like queen f3, but now I get hit by knight d2. So maybe I just have to try to swap off their knight. Knight b4 doesn't threaten knight a6. Their knight's too good. Gotta get rid of it. Often when attacking, you don't want to trade pieces, but I think if they have a key piece, just gotta try and get rid of it. And I can't even take it, because they take back pawn. It's tough. If they move their rook off h8, I wonder if I can take on h7 and allow knight d2. Probably not, though. Right. How do we not collapse? Good question. I'm going to play rook b4 to threaten knight c4. I guess queen takes. Now if their queen moves, my rook is under attack. Maybe I can come with queen f3 next. Maybe my rook can come back to b3. So I'm going to play queen f3, hit f7. And then I guess I'll just play g3, so hopefully I don't have to worry about stuff later. I'm up on the clock for once, so they can't really bring their other rook over, because b7 hangs. I'm going to play a4. Meet this with g4, I guess? This feels shaky. I want to play king h3. But I do not want to play king takes h3. I guess my other rook has to come back. Yeah, now they were free to move the b8 rook away. I should be able to not get mated in the next 6 seconds of their time. I don't know where they're going with the queen. So I'm going to come back. They hit the rook. Rook. Ugh. I guess knight b3 might be an annoying in-between move, because when I take b4, I defend my knight. Yeah, I clock them. Alright, not the most deserved win, but we improve to 142. I think my pawn sacrifice was wrong. The problem was my knight's still hanging on a3, so I couldn't follow it up aggressively. And it gave their knight a nice square. So probably just knight c2 here. Maybe I come to d4, maybe I push a4, maybe I push c4. That looks like pretty decent play without near as much risk as what I got in the game. All right, 1 out of 2. Really like to just get one of them nice attacking Budapest wins sometime, and I will keep playing the Budapest until I get it. Alright, well, bishop f4, it's harder to do that against. I have a friend who's going to show me some g5 lines he thinks are promising, but till then, I'm going to keep playing it the traditional way. Okay, this doesn't make much sense, because they didn't force any concessions out of me in getting e5 back, and I got to double their pawns. I'm going to play d6. I'm going to consider playing an early b6, because I don't want them to ever have c5 to rid themselves of the pawns, the weakened pawns. So I would like b6, maybe bishop a6, maybe bishop e6, and really hone in on the c4 weakness. Well, I certainly don't want to trade that. I could play knight a5, and I think I will. Just continue going for c4. This is very Nimzo Indian-like. Okay. I guess I'm going to try to trade that, though I think they've made some progress. Because yeah, if they take, they can play a move like queen f3, and maybe at some point take on e5, and then c6 could be a useful square for them. But it's still not quite clear what it actually achieves for them. I guess it controls d8, so I will have trouble contesting on the d file. Now, this move makes less sense to me. Now their queen is tied defending f5. They don't control d8, so it is I who gets first bite at that apple, threatening rook d3, so they should fight back on the file. Now I can never play g6 because of knight h6 check. Maybe I'll just make an improving move. They want to play rook d5. That would be good for them. So I'm going to play c6 to stop rook d5, to not give them an easy way to double. Maybe I could have waited till they had played rook d5 and then come with c6. I'm going to sidestep so that I can play g6 at some point and hit the knight. I might play knight d3 at some point, try to come into f4. Right now I control all the squares the knight would like to go to. I think I'll offer a queen trade. That should favor me. They have very bad pawns. Okay. And their knight has no squares. So now I would like to start attacking their weakened pawns. The question is, do I want to get my king in first? But knight a4 is coming soon. It's possible I should have been in a bigger rush to play it, but I feel like I'd love my king on e6 before kind of commencing anything else. Maybe then they have f4, f5 options. So maybe right now invasion is allowed. And I'm not too concerned with winning c3, I just want to get my rooks good. I don't really know what white does. Alright, I'm hitting a2, and if I take it, I will then double on the 7th rank. I'm going to take it. I guess I'll bring the other rook to the 7th. I think maybe rook a1 would have been better. Come back with my knight. It will find new avenues of attack. I'd like to play rook a2, just make sure they don't have rook a1, and then figure out what to do next. Okay. I'm going to play a6. So my knight supports the pawns, and if they play rook b1, I'll play b5. It fixes their pawns, but I've won a pawn and I have an outside passer. Rook b2 seems to keep them still tied in. And now I guess I start running my a-pawn. Seems their invasion is too little too late. I'm going to take on h2. There might be better, but tempted to play knight d3, but I think I'll just play a3, a2, and knight b3. And we will be 2 out of 3. Just push the pass pawn. Alright. We can give a rematch. Let's go e4. Caro-Kann. Alright. I'm going to try to play the advance with g4. Last time someone played h5, but now it's allowed. I'm looking to play h4. If you play h4 immediately, they play h5, and you don't have a good way to handle it. But if you play knight e2 first, you have knight f4 hitting the g6 bishop. Yeah, they should sack the pawn and get this kind of counterplay. Yeah. I like bishop b5 to reduce the pressure on d4. I'm looking to take on c5 now, I think. And I will. I think. My bishop can come to d4 to help support the pawns. They don't have b5, so I can keep the pin. They disagree. This is not a fork. This your knight's pinned. Alright, that was a quick one. I think we're up to 3 out of 4. Never going to get a 5 out of 5. It's too hard. Alright, but let's see if I can finish well. I get so many whites. How do I get so many whites on chess.com? All right, we got a Philidor. So if we remember Morphy versus Count Izuard and the Duke of Karl, that game began this way. So not with knight c6, which is an interesting move. I think I'm playing overly worried, but this feels like weird home prep. They could chase my king a bunch. I probably should have gone to e2. They have bishop f5 and bishop e6. Is my king coming to a4 if I don't want to draw? Ooh. I don't want to play c4. Well, this was not how Morphy played it. Right, I'm going to take on c6 while I have the chance. And just try to trade a few things. Morphy faces this line, gets one of the most famous games in chess history. I face this line, I almost get mated in 10 moves. You know, slight difference here. Alright. I guess they want rook b5. Do I care? I might care. Oh, this is very sad. I don't want to fix their pawns, so I'm also thinking of playing a5 someday if their rook moves off. These doubles pawns, not ideal, but not so bad. I mean, they might be bad, but they're not as bad as they could be. This is very faint claims of anything. Alright. Somehow we are up a pawn, though. It's not nothing. Curious where the bishop goes. King c2. I'd like to play rook d1 and move the knight, but once they double, if I move the knight, they'll have bishop b3 check. And so... still think I'm going to play here, but my idea is knight d4 first. So they should play c5 and stop that. Okay, I'm going to play h3. Threaten knight d4 and knight g5 when their bishop doesn't have a home. Alright, they stopped one way, but not the other. Also hitting c6 might have some value. If I get rid of the bishop, I can then move the knight and try to trade off the rooks. I can take on c6 now, right? And then play knight f3, because now they don't have bishop b3 because they're not doubled. I can also threaten to take on a7 at some point, or should take on a7 at some point, possibly last turn. Yeah. I'm going to bring the knight back. Everything temporarily under control. We'll pretend this was all opening theory. I like knight f5, hits g7, and knight d6. Maybe knight b5 was a better way to do it because they can't trade off, but I also think I would like to see them trade. So if I take rook, they take on f5 and then take on e5. So I'm going to take king. They don't have bishop b3 check because my king moves and I'm threatening knight d6. So I'm going to block this with knight d6. This is a little suspicious because they get knight e5 at the end. Yeah, so they should play knight e5. Okay, because it would remove the defender and then they can take the knight. But I guess they would have to take king and then I'd have rook d1 and they can't take the knight on e5. But this line is now long gone and I should not spend time thinking about it. I'm just going to play rook g1. They can do what they want. Probably f6. I think that makes sense. I'll come back to f5. Yeah, maybe rook b8. Huh. Okay, so I guess c4. I have to play faster. I'm going to play... I have to move the rook. d1. If they come back to f4, I'm going to play rook d2. It seems a better square to defend from. I want to play b3 next. And now I really have to be concerned with time. That's interesting. I'm going to play g4. though it's terrible, so I don't know why. For some reason I thought they could only take the other way. They're moving their pawn majority quickly, that makes a lot of sense. I want to play knight b5, and then maybe rook d6. And I covered d4, and they were sort of threatening bishop f5 and knight d4. Rook d6. It's a check, might be mate. Wasn't mate, very sad. I kinda... No, I should not play there. Alright, I have to come back. If they go to d4, I'm going to go to d1. I don't want to worry about b-file issues. I'm going to play rook f6, take on h6. I think that's the best pawn to win. If they check on d8, I will play knight d5. Maybe play rook b6 later. They're going to come to g4. Nope. They're very concerned with the b3 pawn, I suppose. I have a check. Hopefully they come to c6 and mate themselves. Well. Huh. I guess we got 4 out of 5. Little shaky. So yeah, there's the famous Morphy is a word game. The point of taking on e5 is if black takes back on e5, white takes on d8, king takes d8, knight e5, forks f7 and g4, and white wins a pawn. So in that game, the Duke and Carl felt forced to play bishop takes f3, and Morphy played one of the most famous games of all time. Not familiar with this knight c6, but that game, just because it is, of course, a beautiful game. Every turn, Morphy just brings out a piece and hits something. He threatens checkmate on f7, then he plays queen b3, forking b7 and f7. Black decides to defend the correct one. If they defend this one, this is just mate in 2. Therefore, they decided to defend this pawn with the idea of queen b4, forcing queens off. So Morphy could take the pawn, but then black would only be a pawn down. So Morphy avoids it. Now there's no queen b4 because this is still mate, or mating next turn. I guess not mate, but you know, huge attack. So black can't get queens off, so black played c6 to defend b7. And again, Morphy just brings out pieces every turn. He pins the knight, and black couldn't figure out a move. Black knight d7 hangs b7, you know, h6, the bishop just... h6 is probably best. But they didn't look at h6, the knight can't move, the bishop's stuck in with the queen. Where's the queen going to go? c7, it's all so ugly. So they tried to lash out with b5, and Morphy sacked a piece. Now both knights are pinned, and Morphy just continues improving his pieces. Black defends, and got to get our last rook into the game. Doesn't have a natural square, so we're just going to give up this one to bring the other one in. And then his opponent played queen e6, and if you haven't seen this before, you know, take a second to look at what Morphy should do, because black has threatened to trade queens. Their bishop might come out. It is possible they will manage to free themselves. Now, if you said bishop f6, this is a pretty cute answer. If queen b3, bishop d7 is checkmate, which is a lovely checkmate. And if gf6, rook d7, queen d7, bishop d7, king d7, this is very winning for white. So bishop f6 is a nice win, but the best win, which Morphy found, bishop d7. Now if queen d7, we're going to get a similar endgame to last time. They're just going to, Morphy has to take. But maybe he throws in a check on b8 first. But after knight d7, queen b8, knight b8, rook d8. Lovely finish. Great game. My game, not so great.